Good afternoon, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How you doing? It's getting near the end of March now. Of course, swarm season is just about here. In fact, our bees today were very active, and we think we're going to have some swarms before too long. So, we got swarm hives like this up in the tree. But today, we are here to talk to you about a new series we're starting. It's called the Natural Beekeeping Swarm Catching Tips. And today, we're going over tip number 1. And this series that we're doing, we're not promising that we'll get a certain amount of videos over a certain amount of time, but basically these will be a series of tips that you can look to if you're new at catching swarms, or even if you're an old swarm catcher and you want to learn some new advice. These tips can definitely help you out. So the first tip we're going to be talking about today is space out your swarm hives. Okay, so what does that mean? So basically, if you have a single acre of land and you have like 5 swarm hives, you don't want to put all 5 of those on that single acre of land, because in every square mile of land, there's only going to be so many bees in that single square mile. And if you've only got 2 colonies of bees in your square mile around your area or wherever, and you've got 10 swarm hives on your acre of land, then you're only getting efficiency out of a certain amount of those swarm hives, and you're not getting full efficiency out of all of them. So what you can do is you can space out your hives. And really, the more you space them out, the better, because you got to think swarms travel very far distances. And so whenever you have a swarm hive in an area, you're giving the location a candidate for a swarm to move in. And, they will check out your place and they'll see if they like that swarm hive and they'll make a decision. But, so you want to have as many spread out as you can over multiple miles if possible. And like we mentioned in our previous video, if you have a hard time finding land to put up swarm hives, go to your neighbors or go to people that that are, miles away and say, hey, what would you think about us putting a swarm hive up in your tree? And we'll put up the swarm hive, we'll do all the work, we'll put the main hive on the ground, we'll do all the hard work, and all you got to do is sit back and watch the bees. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people would really get on board with that. And you can just cut them a fraction of the honey, and they're getting pollination too. And you'd be shocked, a lot of people are really happy about that. So, for this tip, you want to space out those bees space out those swarm hives as much as possible, because the more spaced out they are, the more land you're covering, the higher chance you have of landing a swarm. And, one thing I want to talk about too is when trying to catch swarms, having just 1 or 2 swarm hives is okay, but the more you have, then the greater your chances of landing a swarm. If you've got like 10 plus swarm hives and you're going and hanging them up everywhere, you've got a really good chance of catching multiple colonies of bees. But if you've only got 1 or 2 swarm hives, then there's a chance that you might only catch 1, or you might not catch any that season. So the best thing you can do is hang up as much as possible, as far of a distance as possible, and this will increase your odds of catching a swarm, and we think you'll do really well with that. So we hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching this Natural Beekeeping Swarm Catching Tip.